Hello, I'm Art Fennell, and I'm very happy to be here with a man that you all know very well. He is the great Philadelphia coach, Dick Vermeil, formerly of the Philadelphia Eagles, and just a man with an impeccable reputation in the city of Philadelphia and throughout the sports world. And Coach, what a pleasure it is to be here with you.
Nice to be with you.
And I want to talk to you briefly about the man that we're honoring, Reverend Dr. Herbert Lusk. But I want to go back to 1976 when Herbert Lusk was a football player on the rise, and somehow he caught your attention. What do you remember about those days?
Well, we drafted Herb in 1976 in the 10th round. In those days, I think there were 16 or 17 rounds in the draft. So he was almost in the middle of the draft, late middle. And Carl Peterson had come with me from UCLA, and he knew a lot about Herb at Long Beach State. And he had a very distinguished career there as a running back. And we were going along, and in the draft, pretty quick, he said, we ought to draft this guy. He's sitting there, we can't believe somebody else hasn't drafted him. Let's us take a shot at him. So we did draft him, and of course, once you draft him, you have no choice. If you're going to play in the league, you go to that city.
Yeah.
So we moved him east, and training camp at that time was right around the 4th of July, the centennial year, and a lot was going on. But we started training camp very early.
What impressed you?
Well, he scored a lot of touchdowns, made a lot of long runs, and I really didn't know him. What impressed me was his football playing ability. What impressed me later was his profile as a person, combined with his ability to play football. Obviously, he made our roster, but his work ethic was outstanding in training camp. We ran a very, very, very tough, long training camp. It was 6 weeks long, playing 6 preseason games. Today they don't do that.
No.
You got 15 days of training camp, and and you go into preseason games, and you're home. So it was a long, long, tough training camp, and he excelled in every way.
Well, we all know that he went on to have a great career, and he was doing just fine as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. But then one day, number 32, your running back came to you with something that he had to tell you that had to catch you a little off guard, and that is that he was looking to change his career from football to ministry. What do you remember about that conversation?
Well, I think what he first said to me is he came into my office after the season was over and said, "Coach, I'm going to retire." And I'm thinking, retire when your career's just getting started? That's not the right term to be using. And he said, "Yeah, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to get my degree. Then I'm going to go study theology. I'm going to become a minister. And I think I'll come back to Philadelphia and open a parish. It's something I really, really feel driven to do." And I said, "Well, you're passing up an opportunity to play a number of years in the league. You've got it started already. You're established. You may eventually work into be a starting running back." And he said, "Coach, no," he says, "it's not about the money. It's about something inside me that is something I've always wanted to do. And I just think it's time for me to do it."
Didn't you have an inclination, though? Because remember, the National Football League has him documented as the first NFL player to kneel in the end zone and give praise to God after scoring a touchdown.
Yeah.
Certainly long before Tim Tebow was even thought about.
No question. He was the first. And in those days, he didn't get many opportunities to do it. We weren't a very good football team. But he did set the standard. He started it, and a lot of followed. And it's a very sincere gesture made by most. It certainly was by Reverend Lusk.
You love him, don't you?
Oh, I do. I care a lot about him.
How does that materialize over time? Because you come in contact with a lot of players. Certainly there's some that you remember and you respect and admire, but then there are those who really strike a chord with you. And Pastor Lusk has been one that has struck a chord with you.
Well, I appreciate sincerity. I appreciate people that are very unselfish. I appreciate people that have a real concern for somebody other than himself. And you run into a lot of natural football athletes. They're all wonderful people, but they have different motives. Not bad, but different motives. And Reverend Lusk's motives were so unique and so sincere and so real. It captures your own thinking. You're almost embarrassed you haven't done what he's been doing, because he's touched so many lives, far more than I have. I get credit for a lot more because I was a head coach of the National Football League. But if they took what Reverend Lusk has done in North Philadelphia and make a documentary and put it out on television for everybody to see, he would then receive the recognition he really deserves.
Yes. Finally, as we celebrate and honor these 30 years of service to the Philadelphia community, are you surprised that he became the man that he is now and accomplished all the things that he did against all the odds? Are you surprised at all to see him now as opposed to the young kid that was coming out of Long Beach State?
Well, never could you predict what he is today, because it goes beyond football. Sometimes you could predict this guy's going to be a fine player. He might make the Pro Bowl one day, might help you take the playoffs. But to go from where Herb started as a football player to be where he is as a community leader and contributor, you couldn't predict that, because it's so unusual, so rare. And I've had the opportunity to share a number of experiences with Herb in my own home, and just talk about different things. We've watched the Super Bowl together and shared a glass of wine together. And so I know him better than I know a lot of football players, than most players that I know. And he has a way of touching lives other than those that he served within his church. He's touched my life.
Yes. Coach, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
For all that you do for this city and even now, and thank you for your words about our friend, Pastor Herbert Lusk.
Well, you say for all I do, Herb has done so much more, and received not nearly the credit that I have received for doing less. Herb, congratulations. You've touched a lot of lives in your 30 years. You've touched mine, you've touched your teammates, but you've touched the community, and you've given so much. And it's great that we all have an opportunity to say we love you and respect you, and just exciting to be part of your 30th anniversary.